Hello, beautiful. I'm your host, Nicole Goff. Welcome to the Ecstatic Life Podcast, the podcast for women who want it all. Health, wealth, freedom, authenticity, love, beauty, all of the hidden gems just waiting to be uncovered. This is the podcast for women who are ready to discover their inner creatrix, to discover their inner manifester, and who want to find the ecstatic in every day.
What were you going to talk about again?
Hi, and welcome back to the Ecstatic Life Podcast. I am here today with my daughter, Aurora Goff. And this recording has been a long time in the making. You were supposed to be my very first interview, and I think we're at episode 15 now. And
Life
finally, kids, having the two little boys definitely gets in the way. So this episode is going to be raw and unfiltered. We are sitting outside on the patio, so there might be dogs barking, kids might come and interrupt, and we're just going with it. We're just going to make it happen today, no matter what. So we are here to talk about my daughter's teen pregnancy and also our experience of single motherhood. So yeah, let's dive right in before some kid comes out here and interrupts us. I think maybe we should start with my story, the backstory
Of me.
of you, your creation.
Yeah.
And then we can get into your story with River, my grandson. And hopefully we will get it all out and recorded and published. All right, here we go.
Come out here being like,
Yeah.
hey, I need help with this.
So I was 21 when I became pregnant with you. So I was pretty young. I wasn't a teen mom, but I was a young mom. And I was actively in some pretty serious PTSD, trauma. Your dad was maybe not the best partner to have picked to have a child with. I mean, you know, we did our best, but both of us were living with a lot of trauma from a lot of stuff that happened to us both in our teen years, and so we were just a couple of bags of childhood trauma, you know, making babies, probably passing that trauma down, unfortunately. So, but when I got pregnant with you, I 100% knew right away I wanted to keep you. I wanted to make it work. I completely changed my whole life around. You know, I was drinking and smoking and partying, and me and your dad had a very party lifestyle. And, you know, we owned a tattoo shop, or well, he owned a tattoo shop. I worked at it. And, you know, that was the lifestyle. It was party lifestyle. And when I became pregnant with you, I dropped that all immediately. And your father said he would too, but we know that's not what ended up happening.
He's still hardy, and he's in his 50s. Love you, Dad, but
Yeah, let's not bash him too much on the podcast. So I quit smoking. I quit everything, and I left the town we were living in, left the tattoo shop, and just really embraced becoming a mom. And I got a job in an office working with my mom. Actually, she was the manager of that office. And I moved out to High Springs, back into the house I grew up in to raise you in. And it was in the middle of nowhere. Didn't know any other moms.
Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to, you know, totally make a whole new life for you. So yeah, and then your dad, he fell into harder drugs. He did not go the same direction as me. It seemed to push him in the opposite direction, and he ended up, getting into some real hard stuff and got in a lot of trouble and was in prison for the first 3 years of your life. So, which, I mean, you know about. So, single motherhood ended up being thrust upon me. That was never the plan. But
When single motherhood really ever the plan with people though?
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
It's usually not the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried, and I did the best I could. I really did. But it was hard, and I had bills to pay. I had to keep a roof over your head.
And I wasn't an easy child.
Yeah, well, and so that was one of the
That was a
things.
lot.
Yeah, I mean that, I know you've grown up hearing that because from not, just me, everybody. But I feel like I passed some of that trauma down. Me and your dad were fighting all the time when you were in the womb. Oh, here comes a little guy. Pause.
Oh.
So yeah, I feel like a lot of that fighting that we did while you were in the womb and a lot of the trauma that I was carrying passed down to you. I think that I was also very paranoid the whole time I was pregnant with you because I was told before I became pregnant with you that I couldn't have kids, and if I did get pregnant, I would not be able to carry to term.
5 kids later.
Yeah, 5 kids later. So yeah, after a couple pretty horrific surgeries where they just kind of botched up all my lady parts, I pretty much felt like you were gonna quote unquote fall out.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like
Yep.
how things have been explained to me. And as a young mom, not knowing any better, now after taking our doula courses and everything and understanding physiological birth, I know that,
That's not how it works.
no, and what I had been told was just utter bullshit. But I carried a lot of that through your pregnancy, where I was just, I was paranoid. So the fighting with your dad's substance problems, your dad leaving the house and all that, it's kind of like you were set up to be a difficult child. You were, quote unquote difficult. You were hard to soothe and cranky and needy and yeah.
Still quite needy.
Yeah. But, I carried you around everywhere. I started cleaning houses and nannying, and you were like always with me in the backpack. Up until you were like 4, just rode in that
Yeah.
backpack all the time.
How
But
small.
yeah, you were. I mean, you were always on me. You were always right there. And I did the best I could with what I had. And I still feel a lot of guilt about passing that trauma on to you. But yeah, it is what it is, and you learn what you can. And hopefully, that's the line stops here with that generational trauma. And I feel like what you have learned through all of this, you have been very diligent about making sure not to pass that on to your son. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so that's really good. So what was your experience of your early childhood?
What do you mean exactly? Like,
Well, what do you remember of that? I mean, you remember me being a single mom. I know you have memories of me dating because I had several different
lot.
boyfriends.
I had a lot of potential
Yeah.
dads.
Another thing I feel regret about, there were several guys that were there for like a year or two, and then it didn't work out, and every time that was so hard.
Yeah. I think I kind of got used to that, though. It kind of was just normal to me. But they were kind of just like friends more than dads to me. None of them are really cut out to be a dad. But yeah, there was a lot of, we traveled a lot when I was little. So we went to a lot of parties, well, bonfire parties and stuff like that, musical festivals. And that was fun. I remember a lot of that, a lot of hula hooping and fire dancing and all that kind of stuff. All the burns we went to. And camping. That was a lot of camping when I was little. And yeah, that was a lot of fun, but I definitely remember my tantrums I would throw when I was little when I wouldn't get my way. But yeah,
Yeah, I think that was another thing. We had a lot of fun because it was just me and you for those first 6 years or so. And so we did a lot of things together. Like you were always my little like sidekick, my buddy. We did.
Yep.
We went to all kinds of places. Went everywhere with me. But I think, looking back, because I was young and I was still going around,
Still partying.
living my life, that it created instability for you because, yeah, I mean, you didn't have a regular bedtime. We homeschooled and you didn't have a schedule. And I
It's
worked
really loosey-goosey.
yeah, I worked like, odd hours at different times randomly. It wasn't a set schedule. And then I started college and then, I had classes at all different times.
And I came to college with her too.
Yeah.
Pretty much every time.
But yeah, so there was a lot of instability. So of course, like you were having fits because you didn't even know what to expect in life. You know? That's one thing. Now it's like looking back, I'm like, oh man, like I just, we had lots of adventures and good times, but my parenting was all over the place.
Yeah.
It was like attachment parenting, but then like, every once in a while I'd leave you for like 3 days and go to a like music festival.
Yep.
Or,
But yeah. It was interesting. I mean, from my perspective, being little, it was fun. We going to different places all the time while being so young, but being with your mom is like the best. And I remember when we lived at the beach for a while, that was fun. Having my birthday on a beach and stuff, and doing that kind of stuff was fun. But yeah, looking back on it now, being as an adult, I'm like, maybe some stability and just being at home for like a couple of months would have worked well for me. But yeah. And then when you met your now husband, that change of, because then we started really just grounding ourselves and staying in one place. It changed, and I definitely didn't like it at first. What's the word? Had what's the right word for that? The way I acted.
regression.
Regression, yeah, I had regression. I lashed out. That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Especially when, my first little sister was born. Even though I had asked for siblings forever, I think one thing is I ended up getting only child syndrome.
Yeah.
Because of that parenting of just me being with her constantly and only her for the most part. Like, yeah, I had friends and we went to homeschool groups, but it was always just me and my mom. And then when I was like, 7, 8-ish, my little sister was born, and then she had someone else that she had to give all her attention to and love. And it was hard for me. It was definitely hard trying to deal with that. And I didn't really like her husband at first either, so
it was all a rough transition there. It was because it was, and again looking back, like it was all thrust upon you. It's like, okay, now we're going to change everything up. It's just been me and you doing our own thing in our little, nomadic hippie kind of lifestyle, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, we're moving in with my boyfriend, and
I only had known for a couple months, and I was like, wait, now I'm gonna have a sibling? What do you mean?
Yeah.
That was a lot, for sure.
I think you'd known him for more than a couple of months. We dated like a year and a half before I had Cora.
True.
I guess he wasn't around you a whole lot.
No.
Because we were like long distance relationship, and then we didn't live together up until, it had been like a year
from my
or
perspective, it was kind of quickly that
Yeah.
Cora was just made, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
what happened to just these friend guys that you had sometimes? All right. It didn't help that I didn't like him. It was the one that I did not like. I was not vibing with.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny how that works out because, I see now that we end up partnering with people that a lot of times like remind us of our parents, and we try to work out relational problems that we had in early life through these partners. And so, I definitely have identified some of that, but it's funny now.
I guess your husband would be your mother then. He's nothing like our pop.
I have identified that. But also seeing how, like, you guys had a hard time. And now I see that your fiance is a lot like him.
Yeah.
So it's funny how that worked out. Yeah. So yeah, single motherhood and then transitioning into this whole other life. Yeah, I know a lot of it was rough on you. And I look back and it's like you were the first pancake. The first pancake always comes out all
hamster.
wonky.
I was the hamster. The test subject. I'm kidding.
No.
Yeah, it's first pancake. That's a better way of putting it.
Yeah, the first pancake always comes out a little wonky.
Yep.
Yeah, you came out just fine, but
Hey, all in all,
I didn't know what I was doing.
Now.
Yeah, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I tried though. I read all the books and all the attachment parenting stuff, and
Hey, you were better than some moms nowadays that I see for sure, though.
yeah. Well, it was always in my heart to do what was best for you. I just didn't always
exactly.
have the right tools or understanding what that was.
Yep.
Oh.
I mean, I had my own disabilities too, which made things hard on me too. I mean, like my dyslexia and them trying to do school with me, how frustrating that was for you.
Yeah, I think with like the dyslexia and all that too, I wonder if that was like because you never got any, VAXX stuff or any sort of things that would cause the like neurological problems that are associated a lot of times with like ADHD and dyslexia and things like that. Things like heavy metal poisoning and all that toxicity from things being injected into children, or the environment and the crappy food, which also you were not subject to. You had like super pristine clean environment that you grew up in, and I was kind of crazy about what I fed you. Like you didn't even eat like any sugar. Food dyes your first like 3 years of life.
Yeah.
So I also, again, I kind of attribute that stuff to maybe some kind of like trauma in the womb, or a genetic from your dad.
Yeah, exactly. Could just be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's pretty ADHD, so.
For sure.
But yeah, that was hard, and I didn't know how to. I brought like the school system into homeschool, and so I remember fighting with you a lot about homeschooling because you wouldn't get it, and I thought you were just being defiant, and so I would like punish you, which was like terrible. Now I look back and I'm just like, oh, that was so like I was making you hate learning because then it turns out you had dyslexia, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like, Mom, I literally don't understand what this word is right here. You're telling me to read this, but my brain's saying it backwards and upside down.
Yeah.
But, yeah, learning was hard, and I still feel like now I despise school in general. It was hard, even going into, like, my teen years and stuff. I mean, I graduated early because I hated school so much. But, yeah. My childhood was something. It was fun. It had its fun to it.
Yeah.
Even though maybe the fun shouldn't have been fun.
No, it should have, because we did lots of adventuring. I mean, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to make it sound like it was all bad. We had a ton
No,
of fun.
I more mean like maybe it should have been a little less fun.
Oh, it should have been less fun. Got you.
Should have been a little bit more chill.
Yeah.
But I feel like the mistakes that you made, it's definitely like easier for me now to see when I'm doing something like that with River, and I feel like River will be a good pancake. Even though he is my first child and I'm a teen mom, he will be the good pancake.
Yeah.
And all the rest of my kids will be good pancakes too. But yeah. What else?
So I guess since we've brought it there, moving into your teens, you had a couple rough years in your teens, and I think that was when maybe all of that kind of came out and came to a head. The lack of structure, but then also your dad was back in your life, and his influence and all of that.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of years where I was like ready to sell you to the zoo.
Oh my God, yeah. looking into those programs where you can send your kid off to the nuns.
Yeah, I'm like, can you just do that? Like, can you just like send your daughter away to live with the nuns? Is that
yeah.
still a thing? And I'm like looking, and it's like, yeah, for $35,000 a year. I'm like, whoa, no, we don't have $35,000 to send you away with.
And then maybe it wouldn't even help.
Who would have known? I know, right? Yeah,
Yeah, no.
you probably needed that adventure with living with your dad for a little bit.
Yeah, she kicked me out for like a year. It's okay, it was deserved.
I
deserved it.
It was like 3 months. You remember it as being a year because it was an intense 3 months.
My dad was horrible. I'm kidding. He wasn't horrible. He's
gonna listen to this and he's gonna be so upset.
No, he didn't know how to dad in the way that I needed him to dad. He was doing his own stuff, and then I was just kind of plopped upon him.
Yeah.
So it was hard trying to figure out like how to deal with this emotional teenage mess and I'm a girl too, so it's even harder because we're very emotional.
Yeah, that was your like come to Jesus moment. I was like, you know what? If you're gonna be acting crazy and sneaking out and like causing all that trouble, then you can go stay with your dad and see what it's like to have that kind of life.
Yeah, that's where but that did
and
help
after
me.
about 3 months.
Yeah, it did help me meet my now fiance and stuff, so.
Yeah. That's true.
There's some good that came out of it.
Some good, yeah. Public school. You went to public school for
That was
year.
not good.
Yeah, but that's how you met Ace. You wouldn't have met Ace if you didn't go to public school for a year.
That is very
public
true.
high school, living with your dad for a few months, and then you're like, Mommy, please take me back.
And now we've been best friends pretty much since.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, maybe structure is good. Maybe rules are good.
For sure.
Maybe having doors that shut and lock and stoves that work.
And no crazy roommates that killed my rats.
Yeah, maybe.
Never forgive her for that.
Yeah, maybe
steal your
structures.
dogs.
Right? Maybe structure's not so bad.
For sure, yeah. I like structure now.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. When you were little, in that single mom period of my life, I was very like anti-structure. I was like, yeah, you just go with the flow and like everything's so like cool and loosey-goosey, right? And then I learned structure is good. I'm still embracing structure. I'm still embracing schedules and rules and regular, things that it's been hard, the whole hippie reality, just going with the flow and doing things out of like intuition and what you feel in the moment. It's like nice in some ways. Like some people that
definitely
are
more fun.
Yeah, some people that are more rigid could definitely like use to embrace that some. But it's I think detrimental to kids not to have a regular schedule. So high school.
Yeah, high school sucked.
Yeah, and after being homeschooled and having a very hippie, do what you want kind of homeschool attitude too.
Everybody that I hung out with was these really sheltered homeschool children who didn't know nothing, and then I was thrust into these. I was getting death threats. They were crazy. These kids were bonkers, man.
Yeah, public school's no joke.
Yeah, I think it also had to do with the one that I was put in for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking out here in like the country, like that one. Is nothing compared to like an inner city high school. Like
inner city high schools, from what I've heard from friends, it's just more STDs
and guns.
Guns, yep.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of 50-50 with the guns thing. I think Hawthorne had at least, when I was there, 2 people that brought guns in. With one person literally had a clear backpack. This girl, and she had a gun in her backpack.
That's crazy.
Kids are not smart.
Oh, well, and this is why I homeschool, because that's insane.
It's scary. It's
so insane.
Scary thing that should not be reality nowadays.
Yeah,
children with guns.
There was just a bomb threat around here 2 days ago, and all of the schools in the area were shut down. Yeah. So
Yeah, elementary schools too.
yeah,
Not
elementary
even high
schools. Yeah.
Sad reality that a lot of parents nowadays are having to live in because of, yeah. All right.
So besides public high school being shit and the public school system just being shit, I think also you experienced the same thing I did when I went for the 2 years to public middle school and then high school, was people are mean.
Yeah. It's like being nice is not cool anymore.
Yeah, and it was crazy to me. It was like such a shock going from that homeschool world. And then you did some private Waldorf school, which is the same kind of kids. Like it's the same hippie, kids. And it's like
Yeah.
totally different. Nobody treats each other like that.
Yeah.
So it's like that
it's all
shock.
like kind of y'all just hold hands and kumbaya, like dead ass.
Yeah, like dead ass.
Yeah, and those kind of schools, and then it's the complete opposite in public school. There's no happy middle, because I feel like also in the private and Waldorf schools, there's their own kind of like being sheltered that hardcore, and then when they become teenagers, they just get weird.
Yeah, you think so?
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
you know what? Those kids go on to be so much more successful. But yeah, you got like you said, death threats and and I think like from my understanding, it seemed like it was actually because you were too nice. Like, is that your experience?
Yeah, I feel like that was definitely it. I mean, I was just talking to my friends on the phone about this. I feel like I got used for my kindness a lot, because even girls that were the ones who eventually sent me the death threats, I would help them. If they looked sad or had gotten into a fight, I would try and help them. I'd be in there literally one time cleaning the blood off of their face because they got punched. And then they'd turn around and literally sometimes even just the next week they would start talking shit about me or saying that I'm an absolutely horrible person and this, and that, to put it nicely. But yeah, I feel like there's just so much hatred, and I feel like a lot of it stemmed because it was all girls. Guys there, they literally, if they had a problem with each other, they just fought it out. That's how it was. There was no talking it. There was no things like these girls do where they're spreading drama about each other. They just fought. And there was fights every week. There's a whole Instagram page that this school made for fight videos of children fighting each other. And what was really sad to me too is a lot of it were young children. Like the high schoolers, there was definitely fights, but not as many as middle schoolers, which really made me so sad. And
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, I remember just in that short time you were there, like multiple times, ambulances and cops having to come to the school.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And again, we're talking like a small high school in a small town. Like this isn't even like, big city stuff. So it was pretty eye-opening. It was pretty crazy.
Sad.
Yeah.
And the drugs and vaping, that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
Reminded me of that one South Park meme of the 5-year-old saying to take a hit off their strawberry something candy bar. And then they say, I'm dying. I'm only 5 and I'm dying. That was exactly how it reminded me. Because, yeah, there were children that sounded like they had been smoking for 10 years and they were only like 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows what that vape stuff is doing to you anyways.
No, exactly. It's so bad.
I mean, smoking was bad enough, but now like whatever they're putting in there, it's all chemical stuff. It can't be good.
No, of course not. Especially the ones like they get them from the gas station. It wasn't even vape shops. They were getting them. A lot of them they were trading around with each other. It was crazy the money that these kids were making off of doing that too. They were. Yeah, it was quite something. I mean, I didn't understand it, vaping. I mean, I hate to say it, but I did vape while I was in high school because it was the cool thing to do. Having a vape on you was like how you could be social with others. You'd go into the bathroom, they'd hit your vape, you'd hit theirs, and it was like, oh, now we can talk and we're chill with each other for this one moment while we're doing that. I feel like it was the same thing with you guys with smoking.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was in public high school.
I definitely didn't understand how people got addicted to it, though. I don't know, maybe nicotine didn't do anything for me. I don't know if it had something to do with my ADHD, but...
Well, no, that's good, because for a lot of people, it just hijacks them.
Yeah.
I mean, your dad's been smoking, like, his whole life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm fine. I haven't touched a vape in years now, and I'm chilling with that. But
Well, so that leads me into, because I was a smoker when I got pregnant with you. And, I was like, I don't know, like a half a pack a day smoker, like regular smoker. And then I got pregnant with you and I was like, "Psh, not doing that," and just dropped it. So it
I can
was
never tell
around.
with her wonderful angelic voice that she has.
Yeah, thanks. Um, so that was probably around the time that you got pregnant. So do you want to like
Sure.
talk about that whole story?
Yeah, after I didn't even finish that 1 year of high school that I was in, I hated it so much. What happened is me and my now fiance had broken up. That completely devastated me. Whole situation with him happened. It was horrible. I'm not even gonna really get into that, but I just blame his mother. I don't think she's ever gonna watch this, but but so then my mom, after seeing all that was happening and everything that was like, I had to be walked to the bus by cops multiple times. She was like, I can't do this anymore. My baby girl is gonna get hurt. So she took me out, and I ended up finishing high school. What did I get? How did that happen? How did I end up?
I put you back in
finishing?
homeschooling.
Yeah,
I
homeschooling.
re-enrolled you into homeschooling, yeah.
Yeah, and then I graduated early, and then
Well, actually, I graduated you.
yeah, you graduated me.
I
That's how it
graduated
worked.
you after you had River.
Oh yeah, I totally
Yeah,
forgot about that.
yeah. Yeah, so it was the
Yeah.
summer you got pregnant with River, the summer after 11th grade, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty positive. So.
Yeah. You were 16.
Yep, 16. Don't be like me, kids. Don't be like me. I had a lot of support.
I doubt there's any kids listening to my
No.
podcast. That'd be funny if
That
there
would
was,
be
though.
pretty hilarious, though. But yeah, shortly after the breakup and stuff, and me getting taken out of school, I got pregnant. We jokingly like to blame my fiance for it because it was my way of coping with the breakup. I guess I needed my own little human to forget about another human. So that's what I like to think. But I got pregnant, and the sperm donor did not want to be the dad at all. It was about 4 months in that he just disappeared, pretty much, cut me off because I wouldn't abort the child. He was saying he was going to kill himself. He was talking to my mom saying he was going to kill himself. It was an absolute mess. This kid clearly, I mean, he was a kid. I can't blame him. He was a child as well. And he didn't
Yeah, you
think
guys
that-
were both 16.
Yeah.
But I think that you may have been a little more mature than most 16-year-olds because of the way you were raised.
I had a lot of stuff happen to me when I was young, too.
Also, just being in, like, in the, like, grown-up circle. You were not, like, separate from me. You were always in my going to college courses with me and stuff. I think
She didn't, like, put me in daycare and stuff. That's probably
Oh,
why.
yeah. You came to like the university with me. Like you were like a part of the adult world
Yeah.
in a way that, for better or for worse, you did have a different perspective, I think, than most other 16-year-olds. So
Yeah, for sure. Most kids, it seems like there's like, oh yeah, have sex and abort the baby and we're chilling. No, it's not how it works.
yeah.
But he definitely thought that was how it worked, and I told him no. I told him no, that I wanted to keep the baby, and I even gave him an opt-out. I said that he could leave. He could go do his own thing, completely forget about me. I wouldn't force him to pay child support. But crazy part is, he said, no, I can't do that. I can't. I have to be in this kid's life. And then 4 months in, because I wouldn't kill the baby, disappeared. Gone. Haven't talked to him since, and it's been almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think it's for the best. He clearly wasn't ready to be a dad. And
Yeah.
I don't know if he ever will be, but River has his dad now. And he's happy. River's very happy with his dad now. But yeah, that happened, and I was lucky that I had my mom. She was probably like my biggest support throughout the whole entire pregnancy. And yeah, I had did I have a boyfriend at the time when I was pregnant too?
Your friend Jamie was kind of there,
he was like my male emotional support.
Yeah. But no, it was when you told me you were pregnant. I mean, my first thought was, all right,
yeah,
here we go.
That's literally what she said. I was freaking out. I remember taking that. I wish I had gotten on camera because my reaction was just like, no way. I had to take two. I was like, there's no way. I was having sex with unprotected. What did I expect? Like, oh wow, I'm pregnant. Yeah, no shit, Ari. But yeah, I was in the bathroom, took the pregnancy test because I was trying. I remember how it went down. How I found out I was pregnant was I had already been feeling weird. I mean, for one, my period hadn't started. My boobs got big. I went from an A cup to like, I don't know, something else. And so I was trying to get a pregnancy test from my grandma because I knew that she would be more not tell my mom because she might try and help me and stuff, blah, 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 this and that. And that wasn't working. And so eventually I just told my mom, I was like, I feel like I'm pregnant. And I remember we were driving to the beach for a homeschool group thing with the kids. And I was like, I feel like I'm pregnant. I want to get a pregnancy test. And she was like, okay. And we got one, got back home. I took it, and of course, I was pregnant. I was very surprised. Didn't know what I was going to do. And I tell her, and she's like, well, you're having a baby. That's what's going to happen. I'm like, what? Like, a little 16 me. It was like, whoa, what do you mean I'm having a baby? I mean, I had always wanted to be a mom. I love kids so much. I work with children all the time. But, yeah. And then I eventually had a baby.
Oh, you skipped all the good stuff.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But, yeah, after that, and after the whole situation with the sperm donor just disappearing, my whole pregnancy wasn't too bad. I was still trying to finish school, but I'm glad I didn't actually finish high school. I'm glad I did that in my own way. I don't think I would have been able to handle going to public high school well.
No,
Props to the mamas that I've seen do it.
We would have taken you out then if we hadn't already.
Yeah.
For sure. Because, yeah, my best friend, your Auntie Chris, she went through that. Mm-hmm. And then she got sent to, like, an all-girls high school, and, yeah. Nah. So, you remember, it wasn't long after you found out you were pregnant that I enrolled you into the Indie Birth Doula Academy.
Oh, yep. Then that journey started, too. That was kind of one of my courses that I was going to take to finish up my high school year. Right? Wasn't that what kind of you graduated me with? Like my last year thing?
Yep. That was fun. That was like your senior year, was the Indie Birth Doula course. And I felt like it was like dual purpose because you said you wanted to be a doula after seeing the care that I received with JJ.
Yeah.
And, so what's funny is I had JJ in February, and then you became pregnant with River in like
March.
No,
not
you
March.
had
That
in
was
March.
birthday.
June, yeah.
In June.
And so, I was like freshly postpartum when you got pregnant.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, but I had
like, all right, Mom, time to stress you out.
It wasn't too bad.
No.
I mean, I feel like I was made for stuff like that. It wasn't. I was just like, all right, of course I'm going to support you and be there for you.
You handled it really well.
Unlike
a lot of moms do.
Unlike everybody else around
pregnant.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, my pregnancy went pretty good. And then his birth went absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I had him at home. I think I did a lot of manifesting with his birth. That's a big thing that I feel like actually helped me. And should I tell my whole birth story?
Yeah, tell your birth story.
Okay, well, he was overdue, for one. I went almost 41 weeks with him, so I was ready to have that baby, and I had prodromal labor for like a whole week before that. So I was slightly miserable with that. And then finally, one night, I wake up and it's like 5 a.m, and I had been having on and off contractions because of my prodromal labor, and I was like, maybe this is just Braxton Hicks. It got more intense. And I was like, oh, nope, it's time. I didn't wake up my mom.
Wait.
Oh.
Backstory.
Oh, about me sleeping in the same room
Yeah,
as you?
yeah, backstory.
Oh, yeah.
So Ari, we had built Ari an apartment in the yard. So
it was pretty
was
cool.
like, yeah, it was like a cabin. She had her own apartment in the yard. So she was like, still right next door, but had her own space. But then,
It's like the last month.
You got a stalker. That remember?
Oh my God! Yeah, I totally
She
forgot
got a
about
stalker.
Hannah.
yeah. So like a legit,
Oh God,
like 30-something-year-old woman stalker. Like we had to go to the cops. We had to go to court. We had to get a restraining order. And so she was scared to be out there, and I didn't want her to be out there by herself.
Yeah.
And so I kicked my husband out of the room, and I moved big, pregnant, teenage daughter, Ari, into the room with me. And, like, she's, like, we had, like, the like, little bed next to the big bed. And so you're, like, my co-sleeping.
Yeah. Honestly, I would snuggle with you most of the nights. I was like either holding your hand or something.
Yeah, well, that was, after you had River, you were more like that.
Yeah.
Needing support.
True. Yeah.
But yeah, that worked out because then you were in there and I could monitor you and make sure you were okay and make sure you were safe and take care of you and be ready for when the baby came. And so we had hired the midwife that I used for your brother's birth.
Yeah, she was awesome too.
And we hired the same doula and all that. And so we were all prepared.
We were ready for this baby.
Set up the whole birthing space. I luckily still had all the equipment for home birthing because I had just had a baby.
Yeah.
And so, we set you all up in there. And so you were like my little roommate in there, which is kind of
very pregnant roommate.
Which is kind of funny. Like the whole situation, like looking back, it's like such a trip. It's such a it's such a unique situation.
Yeah, what's funny is because I slept in bed with her up until I was like 8.
No, you said up until you were like 6.
I still had pallets on your floor.
Okay. Not in bed. I was 6.
I was very much a mommy's girl, still am. But yeah, and then for that to just like years later, I'm back in the room with her. That was funny. But yeah, so back to.
And then I had little breastfeeding JJ. So
Oh my God!
I'm like in the big bed with like JJ, and you're like over here in the little bed next door.
Honestly, I had hoped that JJ being all that, the hormones would make me go into labor because I was so big pregnant when I had River.
No.
He was almost 9 pounds when he came out.
Well, that's normal because usually with your first baby, you do go longer because everything's like so tight still. But so I had the
Except
opposite.
for you.
Yeah, I had the opposite experience. I had you at 38 weeks. But again, with all the trauma and all that, and I was just like,
Exactly.
I was going through it and I was just like ready to be done with the pregnancy. And I ate like shit. I didn't take care of myself. I didn't exercise. I gained 40 pounds. I was like bloated and miserable and my ankles were swollen. So yeah, with all the rest, I went to like 41, 42 weeks. So 41 weeks is like still, that's really normal for your first baby too. So
True. I felt like I was like,
it's just once you get
pregnant forever.
Once you get past 38 weeks, everything after that is just like
I'm just miserable. It feels like
get this baby out.
It feels like the baby in the pregnant belly is just the thing there, and you're just
yeah. But anyways, yeah. So you go into labor.
I don't wake her up. No, I didn't wake you up yet. It was like 2 hours of me just pacing around. I had texted Adriana. She is River's godmom. And I texted her because she was all the way down in Sarasota, and she told me, you need to hit me up whenever that baby's coming. And I texted her, and then it was like around 7-ish. I finally woke my mom up because I was like, all right, this feels real. This feels like I'm going to have this baby. I woke her up. We called my midwife. She told me that she will be there soonish, that if I'm just having contractions, it's fine. Time my contractions. Because I was timing my contractions. I downloaded the app and I woke up at 5 in the morning. I was like, all right, I think it's happening finally. Downloaded that app, started timing them, and I was like, oh man, this is picking up. And so, yeah, woke her up, called my midwife, and then I started puking. I don't know why. I don't know.
That happens to some women. That's the thing.
It sucked. I puked for at least an hour or two straight. And I'd say...
Hormones.
Yeah. I'd say around 10-ish, 9, 10-ish, my midwife showed up. Before that, I kicked everybody out of the room. I wanted no guys at all. Besides Pop Pop. We're not in Pop Pop show up yet by then. I remember you texted everybody. You texted all the mamas because...
I think by mid-morning, your Auntie Chris was there.
Oh, I had a whole party.
And Adriana was there, and me, and your Nana, and Yalis.
Yep.
Yeah, you were like surrounded by women holding space.
That's what I wanted.
You.
I wanted that. It definitely helped.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everybody started slowly trickling in.
And then Pop and Dustin had all the little kids outside.
I made Dustin leave. I was like, you gotta go. I'm sorry, but
kids and go.
Yep. And so, yeah.
Casey was there.
Yeah, all the kids, all the children, in
Yeah.
and out of the room. I remember at one point even, I was like, Karina or something was on the ground drawing, and I had to kick her out. I was like, I'm in labor right now. Get out.
Yeah.
And
This is like a very, very homey.
Yeah, very
family
homey.
centered home.
It was quite something. But yeah, and Cora, she was like my little mini doula. She was right next to me more than this lady was.
Cora was like what, 9 when River was born?
Mm-hmm. Cora was 9. Yep. And she'd hold my hand. She was helping me throughout the whole thing. And Adriana, I love her so much. She did great. She was literally by me the whole entire time.
Mm-hmm.
She was like the second person to hold River when he came out. She did great. She was like my pretend husband there.
Well, it just occurs to me now too. So you were 8 when Cora was born.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like in the birth tub with me, holding my hand, rubbing my back, up until the point where I was like transitioning.
And I was a little
shit.
Yeah,
You were tired.
I was tired.
You had been up for 24 hours with me, and you were tired. But yeah, you told me I hate you and I hope the baby dies. That was a little crazy.
Yeah. It's okay. I love Cora now. She's my best friend.
Oh gosh. But yeah, you were like my little mini doula there for my birth too.
Again, why I said that is because she was my mommy, and now she was becoming she was still my mommy, but she was somebody else's mommy now.
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
That's rough for an 8-year-old.
Oh yeah, for
That's
sure.
rough. But Cora
Cordy
had seen all of her other siblings' births, so she's
except
like,
for one, but yeah.
oh yeah, because I transferred to the hospital. But yeah, I mean, she was there, in that space.
I had to tell her to leave. It's like some point. I remember that. I was like, Cora, you're doing too much.
Yeah,
I need you to get out. Stop touching me. Yeah, she was like trying to like do my hair and touch me, and I was like, oh, I need my bubble right now. But
I feel
yeah,
Yep.
But yeah, I had so many women there. My Nana, she came in and did a lot of what did she do?
Qigong. She was holding
chi healing.
Chi field.
It was nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, and my labor went really well. Besides, I had back labor and I did birth in the tub. That was the only besides the puking too, the only 3 things that were not in my manifesto that I did not want to happen. But he came out great. The labor went perfectly. I didn't want to be having him in the middle of the night. I had him. Labor started at like 5 a.m, and I went till 5 p.m. because I had him at like 5:43 p.m. or something. But then he came out so healthy. He was gorgeous.
And you did great. I was so proud of you. You just did so great. You never once were like, I gotta transfer to the hospital.
I think I said, I can't do this one time, and that's when I transferred into pushing him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember saying that, and you're like, girl, you're fine. And
that means the baby's coming.
Yeah, like then 15 minutes later, he came out of me.
Yeah, that was totally like me when I was having you. I can't do this. I need an epidural.
Hiding in the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm gonna die. Like, yeah, the midwife's like, you're fine. Nana's like, you're fine.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm dying. I'm literally dying.
What I found so funny is you like to move around a lot. All your births I've ever witnessed you were like walking throughout the whole entire house.
Yeah.
Versus me, who I literally didn't go anywhere, but I was in my mom's room. That was my cave. In the bathroom. I went into the bathroom, but her bathroom was connected to her room, so I just didn't leave my cave at all.
Yeah.
That was just my little cave, my birthing cave, and I loved it so much.
But you see, that's always been my trauma response is to move
Yeah, to be
around
like,
a lot. That's that.
no,
That's that anxiety thing, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
to always be on the move. That's a trauma response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so good. And so beautiful. It was a beautiful birth.
No. Yep. And you have continued to breastfeed. You breastfed right away.
Yeah.
You baby worn. You've done like all these things, and I'm so proud of you because for a 16-year-old, or you were 17 when he was born,
Yep,
right?
I was
Yeah,
17.
you were 17. For a 17-year-old, like most 17-year-olds who have babies, it's a much different story. And
A lot of them,
sadly,
they give up.
yeah, a lot of them
Sad,
don't
but-
have the support that they need. They have judgment and they have, condemnation. And so, of course, if you're going into this with like shame and guilt and lacking support and lacking education and not knowing anything about what birth is supposed to be like,
Yeah, exactly.
you got really lucky that you got to see all those births. You got to witness your siblings' births and be there and see that birth is a normal, safe thing.
Yeah.
Instead of just what the media or, most people, their birth stories are scary and traumatizing. Most people don't understand what it is to have a peaceful, loving, nurtured home birth. The way birth is supposed to happen. So,
Yeah. I think the one thing I like about social media right now is that seems to a little bit becoming less the norm.
good.
I've seen a lot
Yeah.
of home birthing stories. Maybe it's just me, but they pop up just sometimes randomly on my For You page on like TikTok and Instagram of home birth stories that are amazing, and teen moms there's multiple teen moms I follow that are amazing, better than me. I'd like to say bougie teen moms. I'm like,
Well,
ooh.
you don't know because you know how it is with Instagram. Everybody just shows their
For sure,
happy, good side. They don't show the struggles, And I mean, and there are struggles. So let's talk about that. What have been your struggles with teen motherhood?
Having no friends.
Yes, that is.
It's hard to have friends because there's two sides of it. Trying to be friends with other teen moms, a lot of them do not have the same morals as me and don't treat their kids like I do, at least around here, the ones that I've met, sadly. And then there's your own shame in that area. And then trying to be friends with moms that are older than you, it feels like you're going to be shamed and
You're treated like a little
like
kid.
a child. Yeah. So it's hard to find an in-between where you can be friends with someone without feeling like you're going to be shamed and put down by being a mother. I'd like to say I'm a pretty good mom, so.
You are.
But-
I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of how you've stepped into the role. And I was prepared either way. I was prepared to adopt River if you didn't want to do it. I would have done that too. But I'm really glad you've stepped up. Like I said,
I
to
love
continue with breastfeeding over a year and baby wearing and attachment parenting and all of these things.
Co-sleeping, stuff
yeah,
like that. As hard as
it's
it
great.
is, there's definitely moments where I feel like I can't do this. Can't do this anymore. Like with breastfeeding right now, I've been feeling like I want to wean him so hard, but I know that I need to at least go till 2 so that he'll be healthy and happy. But there are definitely things that are hard. I'm glad I have a partner though. I think that's a big thing that like I really wanted and needed.
Yeah, your high school sweetheart coming back into your life.
Yep. He came back into my life, and we're about to get married now.
Yeah, he's stepped up and has become a
He's an
dad
amazing
for River.
dad, yeah.
So, yeah, how has it been since you moved out? Because so at first you were a teen mom living with me being there to take care of you and to help you and guide you. But have you found that there's more challenges now that since you've been living on your own and you're actually like,
Oh yeah,
really
for
adulting?
sure. Yeah, adulting was definitely like a shock. Even though I was slightly prepared, I knew that it wasn't going to be all, oh yay, we get to do whatever we want now because we're adults. No, it's not like that at all. Money, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
Rent, things like that. It was just we constantly are poor, so it feels like all the time. Even though my fiance had a good job, it felt like all of our money was just going to rent or food or everything else besides us.
Welcome to adulting.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's definitely a big shock for my fiance because he went from renting a house with his friend, with his best friend, and his best friend's girlfriend to moving in with me, who has a child.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jumping straight into parenthood without
Exactly.
a transition.
Yeah, there wasn't much of a transition with us, but he took it really well.
And he's a teenager too. I mean, he's 19, so you guys are both teen parents now, but I think you guys are doing really well.
Yeah.
Is there like a message you would give to other teen moms out there, or moms of teen moms, or if there was somebody listening that their daughter was pregnant in high school, like what would you say to them?
Don't give up. It might seem scary and like hard, and yes, it is. It is scary. I mean, you gotta been slightly scared for me. Having your child, your baby girl, go from this, innocent child to all of a sudden they're gonna birth a child themselves. Why do you think I put the quotations? But I mean, I feel like in all mothers' eyes, their daughter is in some way innocent to them. That we can, even though I did so much wrong.
You didn't do so much.
Oh, whatever.
You weren't half as bad as me. Oh gosh.
But yeah, no, they go from your baby girl to now they're gonna have a baby themselves, and yeah, that's scary. But you have to be there for them. I mean, even like just hold their hand and tell them they're gonna be okay.
Yeah. Support. And we had that contrast with a relative of ours who got pregnant around the same time you did, and she was the same age, and her mother, instead of supporting, kicked her out, and she gave up the baby. She had adopted the baby out, and then went into a massive depression, gained like 200 pounds,
got pregnant again. Didn't tell anybody.
Hid the pregnancy.
Yep.
Nobody knew she was pregnant until she went into labor and was at the hospital having a baby, because she was so traumatized by that experience, because her mom didn't support her. Her mom
at all
didn't.
Yeah.
Her mom, vilified her and punished her and ostracized her. And so seeing that, because that was right before you had River, that was eye-opening too, because I don't think I ever would have been like that, but I definitely had that in the back of my mind, is like,
for sure,
I will not do that to my daughter. Like, whether or not it was a mistake or not, I mean,
yeah,
I'm not going to punish you, because what does that do? That just passes that trauma down to the next generation.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I've been pretty big on stopping that generational trauma ever since I've learned about that, and once I became educated on it. I don't want your son my grandson to have to experience that same rejection and heartache and feeling like they're, not okay just being themselves.
Yeah,
I've never wanted you to feel that way, and I've been trying to work hard to undo anything that I might have caused when you're in your younger years, when I was in my single mom years. And you had a little taste of single motherhood. It was not very long.
What, like 3 months?
A couple months of single motherhood.
Yeah, no.
It's hard. It's hard. And I know there's so many single moms out there now. The divorce rate and everything is like skyrocketing. It's like 60% of people now are divorced.
Keep that bad juju from my family. No,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, but
yeah, and it's hard. It's hard on kids. I know it was hard on you growing up without a dad at first, and then dad that was a bit inconsistent after that.
Yeah, dad that more treated me like a friend than a daughter.
Yeah.
I think that's like, the gentle way to put that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do worry. I mean, what if one of my worries right now, what if the sperm donor decides to try and be the dad one day, say like 6 years in the future, if he's just like, hey, I want to see my kid. It's hard to know what to do is right.
Yeah.
In that kind of situation, things like that. But
I think at that time you'll just have to look into your heart and see what feels right. I mean, that's tough. It was always in my heart to let your dad be as much of a father as he could for you, because I had full custody. I could have easily just cut him out and just been like, no, you don't deserve to have anything to do with your kid. But it was always in my heart that I should allow him to be in your life as much as possible and facilitate that as much as possible. And then looking back, after hearing stories about some of the things that he exposed you to when you were with him, that makes me wonder if I didn't make a mistake. So it's hard to say. I mean, parenting's a roller coaster.
It sure is, and I feel like there's no exactly fully right way to do it. It's like there's no set in stone way that like this is how you have to do this. If only there was some manual that you could read on. This is how you parent.
Yeah, right.
Haha, I know, right?
Yeah, nope. I read so many books, and there's so much, conflicting information. I think, trying to get still and looking into your own heart and, going by your intuition is about the best you can do. It's a good time to end this podcast.
Here, let me grab
the grandson is awake. Here he is. Speak of the devil. The little grandson.
Nursing like a crazy person over here.
There's some like acrobatic nursing happening. So we made it through a whole podcast. There's only like 5 interruptions.
Woohoo.
Yeah, high five. We finally did it.
Long awaited.
Yeah, after several months. I'm glad I didn't wait for you to be my very first interview, because the podcast would not have been released.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's leave it there. Any last words to my audience?
All the mamas out there and mamas to be, you guys got this. You're doing great.
Yep. And if you need any support, please reach out. I'm always available for mom advice. I've been through it, as you can see, and I'm still working on it. Till next time. Bye.